Your new book, The Art of Jacques Pépin, shares your favorite recipes and paintings side by side, and it makes for such an incredibly unique cookbook. And I know you talk a lot in your introduction about how cooking and art making live harmoniously for you, but I'm curious, has cooking changed the way you approach painting or vice versa? And are there any skills that overlap between the two?
No, I don't think that cooking has changed the way that I paint or vice versa. I mean, what has changed is that I'm getting to be 90 years old. So my metabolism is different and I eat probably simpler. As you're a young chef, and I did too, you tend to add and to add and to add to the plate. And presentation now, I kind of remove from the plate to be left with something more essential. So I don't have much embellishment anymore on my plate. So that would be a difference in cooking, which is, I suppose, normal as you get older. The painting itself is uh, has been even more prevalent in a sense in my life in the last few years. As I cook less, maybe I paint more. And you work in a restaurant, other professional chef. So let's say that restaurant has a specialty, and that specialty is chicken with morel sauce, whatever. So you may do it 12 times, 15 times the same evening, depending on the order coming. And it tastes exactly the same at the end. And that's the idea of a good professional restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
However, if someone were to film me doing this 14 times, it would be 14 times different. It would be, I cook the chicken 3.5 minutes and the other one I cook five. Why? I didn't even think about it. It's just because I touch it and this one is thicker, this one is thinner, or I cook with copper or aluminum, or it's more humid or whatever. So you do adjustment. You do adjustment without thinking about it so that at the end it always tastes the same. But there is change along the way, and it's a controversy in a sense because I write recipe and tell people this is the way you have to do it, right? Well, this is the way you have to do it the first time you do it. The day that I did and wrote it down, this is the way I did it. Okay, and hopefully it will come out good for you. You're likely to do it again and again, and after 6 months or a year, you'll say, I'm going to put more tomato in there, I'm going to put this. You're going to massage it to your own particular taste, and a year later, too, you don't even remember where it come from. That's your recipe now. You have worked it out. So in the painting, it's different uh, because maybe I don't also have as much knowledge, but basically, when I start a painting, often I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I start. But at some point, the painting kind of take a hold of me, and I react to it. I react with a color or with a shape or without, is it good, is it bad? It's immaterial. I don't even ask myself this. I just react to it. And so there are similarity in that way, something almost automatic which come.
It sounds like so much of your life has involved teaching. Have you always enjoyed teaching?
I always enjoy teaching anything. In fact, I met my wife teaching. I was a ski instructor. I taught her how to ski, upstate New York. I mean, I was a weekend ski instructor. So she took private lessons with me. So I'm banging on her leg saying, bend your knees, this, that too. She didn't tell me she was in the ski patrol. She ski better than me anyway. So
That's hilarious. Oh, good for her. That was a good way to flirt.
my son-in-law is a chef. He was a professional chef. So he had eventually, about 10, 15 years ago, started teaching at Johnson and Wales here in Rhode Island. And he got his master and his PhD, a full professor. And at some point, after, I did 13 series of 26 shows, which is hundred and hundred of show for PBS for KQED. So he had hundred and hundreds of video that he extrapolated to use on Instagram too. So he talked. He said, "Well, what do you think you would like to teach now after all of those years?" And we thought about it, and I said maybe people who have been a bit disenfranchised with life, people who come out of jail, homeless people, former drug addicts, even veterans. So to teach them how to reincorporate the world of cooking, and we need people like this. And for me, I feel that in 6 weeks, I can teach someone, how to wash salad and peel potato and peel asparagus and sharpen a knife, those techniques. So if that person likes it, they stay there, and maybe 5 years later they are the chef, and then they have redone their life. So it's been quite rewarding and nice to do that.
I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about your handwritten and illustrated or painted menus that you also do. There's just so beautiful. And I'm
And
wondering how this tradition came about.
well, it came. I was married 55 years, and my wife passed on about 5 years ago. And yeah, in the beginning, in the 70s, she decided when people came to the house, let's write down the menu, what we did. And then on the other page, people sign and say funny things. And then we started illustrating those menus. And basically, I have 12 books, of about 3 inch thick each of over 50 years of memory of menus, So that's a whole life. I mean, my daughter, Claudine, is 57, and a few weeks ago, she came and said, do you remember what I ate for my 5th birthday? I said, well, let's look. So we looked and we find she drew little chicken. At the time, she was with friends too. So, those books, as I said, that's a whole memory of my life, whether it's my mother, my 2 brothers, wife, and so forth. Everyone is in those menus.
Because we're a picture book museum, I know before we started recording, you had mentioned that there's a golden book that's about you. What do you think about having a picture book that's about your life?
I think it's very, very nice. And they actually did a very good job. I mean, reporting my life. Without any question, the visual is very important. I mean, for me, as I say from the beginning, the technique step by step on how to do that. I have many pretty well-known professional chefs who have told me they've never been into apprenticeship. They learn from my book, La Technique, to how to do the proper things too. So yes, in the certainly in cooking, it's extremely important to have that kind of visual. And if you work as I did as an apprentice, certainly at that time the world was different. And you work in a restaurant. I never had one recipe until I came to this country. Because the idea was I worked almost 10 years in Paris in the 50s and all that. But the idea was to go to a restaurant, it was to conform, to look and repeat, and try to do it exactly the way it was done there. That was the way, the process of learning. And like at the Plaza Athénée in Paris was famous for the lobster souffle. Well, at that time we were 48 chefs at the Plaza Athénée. It was a big brigade. And the 48 of us probably could have done that souffle. You would never have known which one had done it. So that was the idea. At that time, of course, the cook was at the bottom of the social scale. Any good mother would have wanted her child to marry a doctor or lawyer. Now, I mean, in the last few years, it has changed. We are genius now. So, so, so many young chefs, I don't know, make sure they know I am the one who did it and so forth, which is quite different than it used to be. Because, I mean, ultimately, we're still mashed potato maker. So